Hey guys, chess is a thinking game, and visualization is central to the whole process. Visualization is the ability to see in your mind the positions reached when certain moves are made without actually making them on the board, and seeing them so clearly that you can accurately consider the implications of each new position. It's a skill to improve. If you're not able to visualize ahead in difficult and complex positions, you will not be sure of the best move among the candidate moves you are considering. Typical signs that indicate you should work on your visualization skills are: you struggle to keep track of all the implications when you try to visualize more than 2 or 3 moves ahead, or you occasionally make silly blunders because of something that inexplicably slipped your mind in a moment. In this video, we'll see a concept that is essential to understand visualization, and then I'll show you 4 exercises to train your visualization skills. Let's get into it. One of the most interesting obstacles we face when we try to visualize is the phenomenon of residual image. As we calculate variations, we still see some pieces at the position of the beginning of the line, as they have moved or disappeared in the line. And this makes the visualization process much more complex, because your eyes see the pieces and your mind is trained to trust your eyes. But actually, your mind should not see that piece in the position ahead. There is residual image. To better understand it, let's see a really nice example from one of my favorite books, Invisible Moves. So in this position, it is white to move, and white is winning. When we analyze this position, we see a more or less normal middle game. White pieces are a little more active and they have some more space in the center. So we could say white is a little better. We are looking for a tactic solution, so I'm going to highlight a weakness on black's position. This knight here is defended twice by bishop and pawn, but it's also attacked almost twice. I mean, only attacked by the knight right now, but this rook could be attacking the knight very easily once we move the other knight away from e5. So there is this idea of removing the defender, where we can play knight takes f7, and well, if black takes with the rook or takes with the knight, we're going to capture the knight on e6 and we're getting 1 pawn for free. Also, when we capture the pawn, observe we are attacking the queen, so black needs to pay attention to that knight. I mean, they cannot play some in between like knight takes knight. So knight takes f7, the most interesting reply from black is going to be when they capture king takes f7, but then of course the king is not in a great position there. We can continue increasing the pressure by playing queen b3. Then we have 3 attackers and only 2 defenders. So this line seems to be very interesting. However, in this game, black found a very interesting defensive move, and it is the move queen b6. After this move, we cannot take the knight. I mean, we can take it, but we are not getting anything, because then black trades queens, and once we recapture, they will be able to take with the bishop, and actually they will have some piece up in that position. Of course, this is harder every time we are calculating moves ahead here, and I guess it's getting harder to visualize all these things. The point is that we want to see how residual image can affect our visualization. In that position, after queen b6, white has a very strong idea, and it is this move bishop d1, which is really hard to find. It's an invisible move. It's hard to find because it's a retreat move, but also when we talk about the residual image, we can see that the queen is still here at the beginning of the line. However, 2 or 3 moves ahead, the queen is on b3, so that makes it a little harder to think of a move like d1, because we don't see very often so clearly that the square d1 is clear in that position ahead. So once we play bishop d1, we are replacing our queen with the bishop, which is a piece that can still continue with the pressure over the diagonal. So bishop d1 just wins in that position because we will have 3 attackers in the next turn, and black does not have a way to bring another defender for that knight on e6. So we're going to see all this on the board. We said knight takes f7, removing defender. After king takes f7, we can continue queen b3, increasing the pressure over here. And an interesting defense is queen b6, trying to trade queens. As I was saying, knight takes knight is not working. They trade queen first, and then they can capture the knight. But there is this move, bishop d1, and then we are replacing that piece on the diagonal, so we continue with the pressure over there. And this position is winning for white. After queen takes queen, we have bishop takes queen, and there's no way to defend, so white has a decisive advantage here. So the first exercise we're gonna see is to solve puzzles without pieces on the board. They don't have to be so hard, and it's going to help you with visualization and concentration. Let's solve 2 puzzles as an example. You can do this with your coach or with a friend. He can tell you where pieces are in the puzzle, and you need to visualize those pieces and try to solve the puzzle. In this case, we're going to use the tactics trainer in chess.com, and we will see the puzzle, and then we will use the settings, pieces, blindfold pieces, so we won't see anything, but the pieces are there, and that's how we're gonna see the puzzles without the pieces. So this is the first position. Black plays here h4. It is white to move. Look at the position for 10 seconds, because in 10 seconds there won't be pieces on the board. I will remove all of them. So time is over. We need to work without pieces right now. The way to win here, well, pause the video if you want. I will explain it right now. Here we should play bishop e5 in the first move, and the thing is that black is in Suxuan. They cannot move the king, so the only move is going to be b2. Once they play b2, we can capture that pawn, and then we're just playing this endgame with a piece up. At some point we will sacrifice the bishop over the rook pawn, and we will be winning with the bishop pawn. So let's play it like that without pieces on the board. We said bishop e5, they play b2, we capture, and that's the way to win in this puzzle. So now with pieces, we said bishop e5 to put black pieces in Suxuan. They need to play b2, they don't have any other Liga move. Then we capture, and then it's an easy win. We will sacrifice the bishop on h2 for the other pawn, and then we will be winning with our own pawn. And this is the second puzzle. It is white to move here. Black just took that pawn on f4. You have 10 seconds to try to remember where every piece is, and then we go without pieces. Time to play some blindfold chess now. So white to move, how do we win in that position? I will say it right now. You can pause the video if you want. So white wins in this position by playing this move h6. The idea is that we will have 2 pawns attacking 2 black pawns there. This pawn is the base of the other pawn on f6. So they have a problem once we play this move h6. We are attacking both of them, and we are going to promote for sure one of our pawns. If they take here, we capture f6, we are promoting. If they take g5 with pawn or king, we're just playing h takes g7, and again we are promoting. So now with pieces, we said we would play h6, and well, g6 is a move we didn't mention, so we would capture here, and then it's an easy win. In the next exercise, we are going to see blindfold games. Of course, this could be a little hard at the beginning, but something we can do just to make it a little simpler is to use short games, like very short miniatures. For example, this game we're going to see is a 5 moves game, but it's very interesting, and we're going to do it as a training exercise for visualization, so you can see how this works. Focus very well so you can follow the game, and it was like this. e4, black plays d6, maybe trying to play some perk, knight f3, and then g6. In this position, white continued the development and played bishop to c4, and black played a blunder here. It's a very bad move, and it is this knight d7. At this point, it is white to move. White is already winning. If it is easy for you to visualize the position we are in, then try to find the way to win. If not, well, just continue the video. I will say the way to win in that position for white. The right move in that position will be the sacrifice bishop takes f7. And the idea is that once the king captures, king takes f7, which is the only move, we can continue knight g5 check. There is a question I like to ask in this kind of exercises. For example, here it is black to move. How many legal moves can black king play in that position we are trying to visualize? Well, after knight g5, black king has 3 legal moves, and they are king e8, king g7, and king f6. But, well, it's very easy to discard the moves king e8 and king g7, because then we are playing knight e6. In both cases, we're getting the queen. When the king is on g7, it's a fork. When the king is on e8, it's just trapping the queen on the 8. After knight g5, black just resigned, but we can continue with the exercise depending on how you're going there with the visualization, and see that after king f6, we can continue with queen f3 check, and once black king takes the knight, we can play d4, clearing the bishop. The only move is king h4, and queen h3 is going to be checkmate. And now we show you the final position, so you can check what you have in your mind and the real position on the board. So this is the final position. Is that what you visualize? If you did it, well, congratulations. If you didn't, well, it's fine. Just, you know, takes some training, but I'm sure in the end you will get it. So just to show you the game, it was e4, d6, knight f3, g6, then bishop c4, and after this mistake, knight d7, we have check, check, and this is the moment where I asked about how many legal moves can black king play. As you can see, they are 3 legal moves: e8, g7, and f6. And we were analyzing the option king f6. We said check, and then we said checkmate. The third visualization exercise is just to solve regular puzzles. When we are solving regular puzzles, we are calculating. We are trying to see some moves ahead, and then we are training visualization. I found 2 really nice puzzles where we need to visualize very well. So in this position, it is white to move. This pawn is about to promote over here. However, we can stop the pawn. So white to move. How do you continue to get a draw here? I will say it right now. So if we bring the knight over this path, like knight d6, a3, knight c4, and then a2, we won't be able to stop the pawn. That's almost for sure. Also observe that in the next move, our knight is going to be controlling light squares. So once we move the knight, we're controlling light squares, and the pawn is promoting in a dark square. So it's almost for sure that after 1, 2, and 3 moves, the moves the pawn needs to promote, we won't be able to stop the pawn, as we said, because of the color. It's easy to see it. So how do we stop the pawn then? Well, there is this idea where we can try to give a check, and then we're getting an extra move with the knight. So the right move is going to be knight f6 this time, and once black plays a3, we have knight g4 check. They need to move the king. Maybe king g3 is a move, and then we can continue knight e3. Now we are fine, we are in time. After a2, we can play knight c2, and we are controlling the pawn. Black king can try to come over here, but we're going to be in time to bring the knight to a1 and also to b3, protected by our king. We can see this on the board. So knight f6 is the right move. a3, we need to use this check in between to be able to get the pawn, and after some move with the king, we play knight e3, a2, knight c2, and if the king gets closer, we bring our king. There are some ways to get a draw, but this option is very good, king b5, and then knight a1, and well, the king can come over here, and then we play king a4. So after king b2, knight b3, we have a draw in this endgame. The other example is also very nice. We have this pawn we're about to promote over there, but our king is in check, and we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 squares, 7 options for our king. Only one of them is working, and the other ones are just getting a draw. So we need to find which is the right square. When we analyze, for example, like king g4, we can see that there might be a fork between king g4 and e8 with a knight on f6. So the knight can try to go and get that square. So king g4, black can play knight c3, and when we play e7, they can play knight d5. And if we promote, then knight f6 is a fork, and they are getting our pawn. The other option is king h4, for example, but then we see that there might be a fork on g6 or maybe f5. So king h4, knight f4 is very strong. And after e7, knight g6, we're losing the pawn, it's a draw. Another move here could be like king f3, but well, this one is very simple. There's just a fork directly getting the pawn. King f2 is another move, and well, this time they don't have a fork to capture the pawn, but they have a check to get a tempo and get closer to the promotion square. So king f2, they can play, for example, king c3, I mean knight c3, and after e7 they have a check, and this is going to give enough time for black to, after the king moves, play knight f6 and stop promotion. So king f2 is not really going to work. King a3 is very easily discarded because we can play knight f4, getting the pawn, and same thing with king g2. Knight f4 is just getting the pawn on e6. So the right move in this puzzle to be able to promote the pawn is going to be the move king h2. This time the knight won't have a good path to create any trick. So for example, like knight d4, we play e7, and they cannot control e8 in the next move. Also the check is useless. We just play king g3, and the knight still can't control promotion square. So king h2 is the right move. Whatever they play, we are promoting very soon. Another exercise we can try to train our visualization is to see masters games by steps. This means that we're going to see some moves ahead. We will try to visualize that position, and then we will put that position on the board, and we will repeat that during the game. The number of moves we are going to use in the steps is depending on your level and your skills to visualize moves ahead. In this example, we are going to use 3 moves steps. So let's see. In this game, Zuckertur was playing as white. He played here e4, black played e5, white plays knight f3, and black plays knight c6. Then bishop e5 and knight g to e7. Try to visualize that position we have on the board. Once you have done that, we need to get the position in front. So it was e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop e5, and knight g e7. The game continued c3, d6, d4, bishop d7, white castles, and knight g6. Try to visualize this position in your mind. And now we're gonna put it on the board. So c3, d6, d4, bishop d7, white castles, and knight g6. Here Zuckertur played knight g5. He was a very aggressive player, and black played a6. Then he sacrificed the knight on f7, king takes, f7, bishop c4 check, and then king e7. Actually, king e7 is very dubious. The right move was king e8, just keeping this line clear for the queen to come and defend the position. So king e7 is the last move. And well, in this kind of exercises, I like questions like how's the material in that position after king e7, as there were some trades and some sacrifices. In that position, white lost the knight for a pawn, so right now black has like 2 points up, but of course they have some problems with the pieces and the king's safety. So king e7, and we need to try to visualize that position in our mind, and then we will try to set it on the board. So the game was knight g5, h6, knight f7, king takes f7, bishop c4 check, and king e8 was the best, but black just played king e7. Sucrator continued here. Queen h5 is attacking the knight, so black just played queen e8, but this is actually a mistake because now white has checkmate in 2 moves. I would say it, but I think it's a good training if you try to find it. In that position, Sucrator played a queen sacrifice, queen g5, after h takes g5, bishop takes g5 is going to be checkmate. This bishop is controlling here, here, and here, as the other bishop is controlling here and here. Also, there is a queen on e8 blocking that square, so the king cannot escape over there. So the game was queen h5 is attacking the knight, black played queen e8, and then queen g5. Actually, in this position, bishop g5 is also working very well. He doesn't need to sacrifice the queen, but well, this looks very well with the queen sacrifice. And after pawn takes, bishop takes g5. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you want to master calculation in chess, check out this interesting video. I'm sure you will enjoy it and it will help you a lot. Thank you guys, like, subscribe, see you on the next.